Hi, Year 10. Hope you're all doing well. I just wanted to just give you a little bit of guidance on the work that we're doing. So every now and then you'll find that there's a little YouTube clip, and if you find it useful, that's great. If you don't, no worries. I'm obviously quite a novice at this, and you can see the picture on the screen. Um, this sort of thing is not my forte, so apologies about the amateurness, if that's a word. I'm sure your English teachers would disagree and say that's not a word. But apologies if this isn't great, but hopefully it's here to help you. So um, we are going to try and do a new topic this term. But please remember, look at the yellow box on the screen. Please remember, don't worry if you can't do all of this. Don't worry if you're struggling with some of it. You can always email me, and I'm certainly not expecting you to learn all of this all by yourself. And we will definitely be going back over some of this stuff. But the topic that we're learning is called distinctive landscapes. And if you were in school in the last week and I gave you all a textbook, it's it's the third chapter in the textbook and it starts on page 72. But I have actually photocopied or taken pictures and screenshots of all of the textbook pages if you don't have your own copy, and they're all attached to show my homework. But to make this a little bit easier, I'm also going to read the pages to you, and they're on the screen. So you can treat this a little bit of your your drop everything can read section of your lesson as well. So I'll read it to you, and if you want to make notes, you can, or you can just listen. Okay, so for this, you'll need page 74 and 75 of the textbook, or the photos that I've attached on Show My Homework of the textbook pages. And the learning objective for today is to understand the main landscape elements and what makes each landscape distinctive. So distinctive means different, special, unusual, or makes it stand out. Okay. So I'm going to now read you this page of the textbook. So landscapes of the UK. On this spread, you will consider the main landscape elements and what makes each landscape distinctive. What's in a landscape? A landscape is more than just scenery. Every landscape tells a story. Each landscape is created by an interaction of natural and human factors. The main elements of any landscape are physical elements, so that's like mountains and valleys, and they're natural. Water elements, including rivers and lakes. Living elements like trees and grass, they're also called biotic because they're biological, so things that are living. Um, Transitory or temporary elements like the weather and the seasons. So in a photograph, if I took a photograph out the window today, it's really sunny, beautiful blue sky. But if I took a photograph in 3 days' time, it's very likely to be different. So although that would be part of the landscape today, it is temporary. And human, like the buildings and other land uses. The Hay Wain. You can see in your book, so figure B is a painting of the Hay Wain. One of the most popular landscapes in the UK is an old painting by John Constable called the Hay Wain, painting B. You have probably seen it somewhere before. It could even be hanging on a wall at home. It shows a traditional rural scene with horses pulling a large cart or hay wain across a river. The painting was based on a real landscape at Flatford Mill on the River Stour, on the county border between Suffolk and Essex. The landscape has changed very little today. The cottage is still there, though the horse and cart have gone. Photo A. So you can look at the painting that was drawn by John Constable in 1821, figure B, and you can look at the photograph of what that place looks like today. And there isn't a huge amount of difference. So landscapes are often photographed and landscapes are often painted as well. Okay. So this is the painting based on the real landscape at Flatford Mill. And one of the first tasks that you need to do is look at activity 1 on page 75. So activity 1 on page 75 asks you to look at painting B. So at the moment I've got photograph A, which is the same place as painting B. But what I want you to do, look at painting B, or you can look at photograph A, whichever one you want to look at, and identify at least one of each landscape element. So identify one physical landscape element, one water element, one living or biotic element, one transitory or temporary, and one human. So have a go at that. Try and come up with at least one, but some of you might come up with more than one element.